take a couple of photos. Read it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kadambari. As you all know, I work for RedBlackTree. We are going to talk about Couchbase Mobile today. So even before we get into what Couchbase Mobile is, we need to understand why we even have a system like this. What are the problems it really solves? So I would like to get some inputs from you guys on what are the problems that you face while you use your mobile apps. Can anyone tell me?
Data from server for every request. You need to write APIs.
No, not from a developer perspective, from a user perspective. So I'm using your mobile phones, you're having your application. So,
when I go offline,
sorry?
when I go offline,
Okay.
you cannot control my data.
Okay. Any other problems that you face while using your applications?
Data retrieval.
Okay, data retrieval. Okay. So, so why Couchbase Mobile? What are the problems it solves? If you look at today's mobile apps, if you look at the deployment topology of the mobile applications, most of the mobile applications rely on a remote data strategy which depends on the data which is present in a cloud server. Say for instance a cloud server, you have your mobile and you have to fetch in your data from the cloud to your mobile. So what happens when it is connected to internet? You are just completely fine with the application, so it just works fine. So what happens when there is a signal problem? Your network is not that great. You have a lower signal here. Now what happens, it starts loading data. It takes a lot of time to load your data. It just hangs there. So this is one problem that you have with your mobiles. And the second problem is when there is no internet at all. So the mobile app becomes completely unusable. So this is one of the major problems that we face in today's mobile applications. So how does this make a user feel about it? So they would say that it's taking a lot of time, it's dead slow. So what do they think? Look at the stars they have given for the application. They have a bad user experience with the application and they never come up to use the application again, right? So how does this again affect your application uninstallation rates when there is no network or when your network is really bad? You will end up freezing, the applications will end up freezing or crashing, or it will be, the responsiveness will be really bad. So in that case, if you see the uninstallation rates, it's more than 75%. So which means the users are not experiencing a good user experience with applications that we have built. So now we go to the root cause. To identify the root cause of this problem, we'll know what the exact problem is. The problem here is the location of your data. You have your mobile device here and the data resides on your cloud. So to access your data, you obviously need an internet connection. So without that, it is not possible to access data, which is affecting the way in which the user is experiencing the application. So when there is no internet, it is again gone. So it is completely unusable. So what could be a solution to this problem? The solution to this problem could be that we have data in our remote location and we should also have the same data in your local mobile device. Now the data resides very close to your mobile device as well as to your cloud. So what happens, even if there is an internet connectivity, you still have the data in your local device. So when you access your data, it is going to be just like this. You are going to just get the data instantly. You don't have to really need the network connection to connect to your cloud and get your data. So what is the proof for this concept? So whatever we discussed about, what is the proof for this? So these are the 3 probable data locations that we can have. So we can have only remote only, in which case we'll have the data present in your cloud. The second one is local only, in which case you will have your data on your mobile device. And local and remote, you will have the data both at your on device as well as on your cloud. So how does all these 3 strategies affect your network requirements? So when it is remote only, you always need a network connection. So without a network connection, it is never going to work. And with local only, it is never connected. You have your data on your local mobile device, so you don't need the network connection at all. You just can get the data instantly from your mobile device. The last one, local and the remote only, here you have both options to retrieve your data. So you just have to get connected to the internet sometimes in order to sync to your cloud server. The second one is the application availability in terms of each of those strategies. So how is your application available to the users? So if it is on remote only, the application is available only sometimes. If your network goes off, then you are done. You cannot use your application. And if it is local only, it is always available because you also have your data on your local device, so it is always available. The same way, local and remote, it is always available because you always have your data with you. The third one is application responsiveness. When you have the data at your remote location, the responsiveness is variable because it depends on the network that you have. And local only, it is always fast because you have your data on your device. The same way, local and remote, it is again always fast. The last one are the enabling technologies we have so far, which helps to achieve this. The remote only, we have these RESTful services, the APIs through which you connect and get your data. And local only, we have the SQLite, and local as well as remote, we have this sync. So what is the exact solution that we need? We not only need it in the remote or the local places, we also need local as well as remote. So which is sometimes connected. So it is not necessary that you have to be connected to the internet always, and it is always available, it is always fast, and the solution is nothing but the sync. So now we spoke about what are the problems that the mobile apps are facing. So we also spoke about the solution. So now if we talk about Couchbase Mobile, this helps us to solve all these problems at a single place. So this is the only NoSQL database available so far in the market for mobile devices. And how it does that? So we have, these are the 3 key features of the components of Couchbase Mobile. You have an embedded JSON database which is there on your device. So you have instant access to the data that you need. The second one, it works online as well as offline, which is because when you're offline, you have access to your local embedded database, and when you're online, whatever changes that is being pushed to your local database can be replicated to your cloud servers. That is done using this automated secure sync mechanism. So this sync mechanism is totally automated and it takes care of the rest of the things and you don't have to worry about it. So now let's go into the architecture of this mobile solution. So if you look at this, we have this cloud sitting here, which has your Couchbase server and your sync gateway, and these are your mobile devices, which in turn has your embedded database. So any communication with your Couchbase server happens through sync gateway. and all the data that is being replicated from your local mobile device to your cloud, or from your cloud to the device, that happens through something called channels in your sync gateway. So this is the overall architecture. We'll look into each one of this in detail. The first one is Couchbase server. I guess you had you did hear about each one of these points from Karthik's presentation. So it is a cloud NoSQL database, and it is highly scalable, high performance. It is always on. There is no downtime for this Couchbase server. So this is one of the component of your Couchbase mobile. And the second most important component of Couchbase mobile is Couchbase Lite. This is what is embedded JSON database which resides on your device. So it is an embedded NoSQL database. It is completely lightweight. It is ultra lightweight, that it's just around 500 KB which resides on your device, and it has a flexible data model. It is completely JSON, and even when you're rolling out new data schemas to your database, you don't have to worry about the data migration or the downtime. So it is completely flexible. You don't have to have a rigid schema at all. Any new changes to your data modeling that you're doing will just go from your application code through the APIs to the database. So there is no downtime. It is always on. And so now that we have talked about the database, how do you perform any operation on that database from your application code? It supports CRUD operations, just as you would see in the relational database. So these are the CRUD operations that can be performed on the Couchbase Lite database. The first one is the get, through which you can fetch any document using a document ID. The next one is the insert. You will be able to insert a new document into it. And third one is the update. You will be able to update a document, which again in turn deletes the document and inserts the new document, and the deleted document goes to the compaction queue. And the next one is upsert. Upsert is a little different. It will update the document if it is already present. If not, it will do an insert into the database. The last one is the deletion, which again sends the document to the deletion compaction queue. Apart from this, so now that these are CRUD operations on your database, how do you query your database? So for that we have something called MapReduce indexes. So MapReduce indexes, it is eventually built as the data is changing in your database, and it gets persisted to your Couchbase Lite. So what happens, these indexes are available instantly on your mobile, so you can access your data in an instant. And so now we have MapReduce indexes as well. Is it possible to query those indexes? Yes, we do have capabilities on how querying capabilities for these MapReduce index views. How do you query them? We have a lot of parameters that we can pass to your MapReduce indexes, like limit, group by. You can mention the start key and the end key to fetch a collection of rows from your documents, and the same way you can perform query operations on your MapReduce indexes as well. So now we have talked about the operation perspective on what the database is. How secure is Couchbase Lite? It is secure by default. What it does is it uses the built-in file system encryption to encrypt the Couchbase Lite database. However, if you are using any private or confidential data, or in case you are following some regulations such as HIPAA compliance or something, you can optionally encrypt the whole Couchbase Lite database using AES 256 algorithm, and for that they are using something called SQL cipher. Okay, so the encryption is also possible, so it is possible to keep it more secure. So now that we have spoken about Couchbase Lite, the third component of Couchbase Mobile is Sync Gateway. So this is basically the heart of Couchbase Mobile. What it does, this helps to sync all the changes that you have made in your local database to your cloud. So any data that has been changed in your local DB is being replicated to your cloud server. The same way, any data that has been changed to your cloud will also be replicated to your local DB. So this is achieved through replication. We have something called pull and push replication through which all these happens, and this is completely automated. So automated secure sync gateway, which means you don't really have to write a single line of networking code in order to make this happen. The mobile application code is taking care of inserting, updating, deleting, and doing some sort of operations on the database. Apart from that, the rest of the things are totally handled by Sync Gateway. So it automatically takes care of what data has to be pushed, what has to be pulled, and how it has to be done. And apart from that, there are few roles. There is a role that Sync Gateway plays in this whole architecture. It takes care of the authentication and the authorization. So it helps us identify the identity of the user when it is passing data to that specific mobile device. And it also does data read-write access control through something called channels. So this Sync Gateway, it maintains up-to-date copies of your documents wherever the user needs them, either on your mobile device or on your cloud. So on your mobile device, it maintains the copies so that you can get it instantly. On your cloud, it maintains the latest copies for you to share the documents with other users that you have, and also to prevent any data loss. And then that's all about it. And we have a unique concept called channel in here inside Sync Gateway. What it does is it helps the Sync Gateway push only relevant information to the mobile devices. So basically the Couchbase server will not push all the data to your local device. It will push only those data through the Sync Gateway which are relevant to the users. So how does it achieve this? The Sync Gateway has certain functions in which you can write your own business logic, which will examine each and every document before it even passes to the particular user device. So it just examines the document and then performs some business logic, and based on that it will channel the data to the corresponding channels. So this is all about the Sync Gateway. So this is the overall architecture of Couchbase Mobile. So now that I have covered the theory concept, I have a colleague here, Anish, so he will take over and give you a demonstration and illustration of how this is implemented in real time.
Hi everybody, you guys with me? Okay, now we have had a small session about the Couchbase Mobile, and now I understand that we have understood the basic concepts about the Couchbase Mobile, the Couchbase Lite, the server component, and the sync interface between the Lite and the server. That's called the Sync Gateway. We'll just go up one step deep into the Sync Gateway component especially, and see how that this complicated or the sync is achieved automatically without the user or the developer having to write so much of code. For that, I have a small application here where we'll see the actual sync in live, and we'll just talk about something what she mentioned called channels, how the Sync Gateway implements the authentication, how the Sync Gateway implements the authorization, and the data filtering. All right. So she actually mentioned that we have replications in Sync Gateway, which is called push and pull. That push handles the data sync from device to the server, and pull replication is about replicating the data from the server to the device. All right, and there are two modes of replications. One is one shot, that is if I initialize my push replication as one shot, it syncs the data one time for each session into the server. If I initialize my pull replication as one shot, it synchronizes the data one time per session from the server to the device. Otherwise, I can configure it as continuous, so any change is synced to and fro from the mobile to the server as the changes are made. All right. Now we will be able to listen or observe the status changes for the replications with observers written for each sync. And what you see here is a code sample in iOS to implement the sync. Are you guys able to see this? No. Okay, fine. This will be sent to you later. So we have initialized the push replication. We have initialized the pull replication. This is a push replication which is initialized. We have got a observer here. This pull replication which is initialized. We have the observer here, and we have got implemented a basic authentication for push and pull, giving the username and a password. As of now, we have hard-coded a password. You will be able to use a Facebook authentication or normal username password-based authentication to the sync or the replication, and you just have to do a push start, so it will start the push replication. Same for the pull. All right. Now, yeah.
Basic question. Push happens first, push happens first.
Pull happens first.
Pull happens.
Yes. Now, by replication, when I tell about replication, it is not just between device to server. It can be between, there's a star configuration, a topology which is from device to sync gateway to the server. You can have tiered, where you have a regional sync gateway and a global sync gateway which communicate between each other. So you have devices which syncs to the regional sync gateway, then that syncing to the global sync gateway, and then to the Couchbase cluster or Couchbase server. You can have mesh topology, which is actually sync between peer-to-peer sync between the devices, where actual server is not involved in it. So with Couchbase sync mechanism, you are able to achieve all these three topologies, and it is not hard-coded to, like, you have to have a Couchbase server for this sync to function. Okay, now as we already heard, sync gateway has different components. It has got a configuration file which actually runs the sync, and it is the main nucleus authorization factor of sync gateway is a sync function. We'll go through sync function once. Then authorization is done through some methods, require role, require user, require access. As the name implies, require role enforces that the document which came in, or the user which sent the document in, has to be part of a specific role for this document to be approved by the sync gateway. Same for the user has to be there in the system, and the user which has been sending the data has to match to a specific user for the document to be approved by the sync gateway. We'll see live examples on that. Then we have channels, just like what she was mentioning. We have channels for data routing. We use channels for determining who should get what. Okay. Now, I think we have got different development teams in the office, and we have data which should go to just one set of devices belonging to one team. We will be able to route that channel, the one set of documents, to that specific team's devices alone, using channels in the document and in the sync gateway. All right. With this access function, I can specify that this user who sent the data can have access to this specific channel. So if I give access user comma document or user comma channel, that specific user gets access to that specific channel. So that level of filtering and authorization can be done in sync gateway using the sync function. Now what you see is just a representation of how the data can be channeled. We'll see the live example of that. Okay, now back to the live use case. We have just give me a second. we have a device and we have an application which, oh God, fine, I'll tell you what it is. we have a device and the device is actually here. It is mirrored onto the projection here. We have an application which where I'm going to log in as Anish at RedBlackTree.com. Okay. Now, when I log in, I'll show you the sync gateway trace. Now you see some action here. Okay. Now it's telling you that is an invalid login because I have entered a wrong email ID. Okay. Now what you see here is data is it's giving me some log telling that the data is starting to sync. Okay. Now on the screen on the mobile, I have basic information about this event. It tells date is 12/4, venue is IIT Madras Research Park, host is RedBlackTree. Now this is kind of information about this event, and I have got members as Anish, Kadambari and Shambhu. So these three names have been put in there. Now what I'm going to show you is my sync gateway sync function is going to allow me to edit only the data information about myself and not about anybody else. Okay. Now what you see here is the Couchbase server console, and what you see here, this is the channel, the document which is open on this phone. This document what you see on screen, this is this information is picked from the document which you just saw on the Couchbase server. All right. Now I'm going to edit here. Okay. Now I've put in some comments, and when I save, you see action on the sync gateway here. Okay. And what sync gateway tells me is stored document user : Anish at redblacktree.com. So user : Anish at redblacktree.com is the ID of my document, and it is telling me this document is saved into the Couchbase server. Now if I come here, open this document, yes, I've got a comment here telling the session is going on. All right. Now I go back and I open Kadambari's document. I open Kadambari's document here. I'm telling session is on. Session is over. And I save. You see some action on the sync gateway. It is telling a wrong user. Because my sync function you see here is telling for a document type which is a member, if my document email is there, is the user who sent this document. Okay. Now this require user of old doc.email. This function tells the sync gateway that if the user who sent the document, that email ID matches with the email ID in the document which came in, only then this document is approved. So when I send the document, my email ID matched with the user who sent in here, sent the document in, and so it approved the document. And when I edited Kadambari's document, it told that Kadambari at redblacktree.com is not the one who sent the document up to the server, so the document is rejected. So the sync gateway tells me that it is a wrong user. That document will not be reflected on the Couchbase server here. All right. Now the biggest advantage of Couchbase mobile is not that it syncs the data. The advantage is that it syncs the data even when it is offline. Correct? Now I'm going to stop this Couchbase sync. Now my sync is stopped. I've opened the app, my document. Let me delete the comment. I've saved. There's no movement on the sync gateway. Yeah, to start and stop the sync gateway, it's all a small command. You have to start a sync gateway and just put the configuration file, which you see on the left. Now the sync gateway has started. It's actually getting the data. Now what will happen is my device will know that the sync gateway is up, and the data from the device will get synced to the document, to the server through my sync gateway. All right. Now the WebSocket is opened by the sync gateway. Yeah, it'll take a bit of time for it to sync. By that, meanwhile, I'll just explain you what the configuration file of the sync gateway is. What you see on the left is the configuration file. What you see here, the selected part, this is the sync function which does all these all the authorization authentication part on the sync gateway. And here is the part where I've configured my Couchbase server and the bucket on my sync gateway. I can tell my server is the localhost :8091. That's the port in which the Couchbase server is saved, and I'm telling the guest user is not available, and the sync function is this. And usually in the best coding practices, what we have to do is add a bucket which is a shadow for the actual bucket, because sync gateway adds a few properties into the document for it to manage. Okay, so it's not advisable to expose the actual bucket to the sync gateway to process. So we actually, what we do is we create our actual data bucket is there. We create another bucket and point the sync gateway here and shadow this bucket to here. Okay, so the shadow bucket is the one which sync gateway will use, add properties, delete properties, mark revisions, all that, and my actual data is intact. Sync gateway's properties are not added into them. All right. So that's the best way of doing it. Now what you see on the right, we have our sync gateway which has saved the data. It's still stored the document, and I go to my server and I check for comment. It is not there. All right. So what happened now is, even when the sync gateway was not available online, or the mobile was not able to hit the sync gateway, the data which was edited, just like you asked, the data which was edited in the device remained in the device. It waited for the sync gateway to come online, and the device synced the data to the server when the sync gateway was available. Okay, this is applicable for the data edited on the server also. Now, when we talk about sync, the first thing which comes to our mind is, how about conflicts? So if I have multiple devices syncing the same data, then we have conflicts which will come into the picture. Conflict resolution can be done on the server and on the device or on the client side. We can get the documents which are in conflict, and the conflict resolution mechanism, you have to write it custom. You can write the custom codes. The problem in resolving the conflicts in the client side is that if two clients resolve the same conflict, it can resolve a conflict. It might resolve in a new conflict also. All right. So, and same way you can write a conflict resolution mechanism on the server, and server can resolve the conflict, and one of the conflicted document version is deleted and the other one is updated with the relevant data based on our conflict resolution mechanism. All right. Now, so you saw the live example. Questions? Okay, conflict resolution mechanism, to any sync functionality, there's a conflict resolution mechanism has to be there. The advantage of Couchbase is that you can write a conflict resolution mechanism on the client or on the server. Okay. Now, if you write a conflict mechanism on the server, that is the ultimate deciding factor. That will resolve the conflict. Couchbase lets you write conflict resolution mechanism in the device also. One of your device can be assigned the job of resolving the conflicts. If multiple devices resolve the same conflict, it might result in another conflict. All right. It might result in a, yeah, fine. Okay. This the application we saw is not an actual example. Just think about if we are able to edit the actual event data, okay, event data, and instead of RedBlackTree.com, RedBlackTree had misspelled it. Okay, now Kadambari has a device, she is editing it. You have a device and you are editing it. Okay, you have put it as RedBlackTree Technologies Private Limited, and she has put it as RedBlackTree Technologies. Okay, now that will resolve in a conflict. I can put the code inside your device and her device to resolve a conflict by writing a custom resolution function. I'll have a custom resolution code to pick one property from one device, another property from another device. I can write my custom resolution code. Okay, what is resolution? I pick X property, Y property, Z property, assign values to it, and construct a valid document. That's what my conflict resolution is. Correct. Now your device resolves a conflict, picking your data as the valid one. Her device resolves a conflict, thinking her data is the valid one. Okay, this is done based on the version numbers of the document. which the sync gateway just puts in. Now this might result in another conflict. If you both have, your both devices have picked the same data, there's no conflict. Okay, if your device has picked your data as valid and if her device has taken her data as valid, it will result in another conflict. Correct? Understood the difference? Yes. So no, that is your wish basically. You can ask one of your devices to resolve the conflicts. So that's your business requirement. If you want the conflict to be resolved on the server, you can very well do that. Your server can resolve the conflict so that there's no problem between the devices.
They have something called a compare and swap mechanism. So you have this cache value which is added to the document. So your old document will have a cache value. So these two devices where you have added this conflict resolution mechanism will check if that cache is equivalent to the cache of your document. If it is not, then it will not let you update the document. Say for example, you have cache value as 1 there, okay. He is making a change to the document. He has updated the change right now to, I am in turn making changes to the document. So what happens, his cache value gets updated to the newly changed document. Now the cache value is 2. His changes are in the server. Now I have to move my change to the server. My cache value is 3. Now there is a conflict between these two cache values. So it will reject this update from my device and ask me to get the latest version of the document from the server and update it accordingly. Yes, right.
Yes. Yep. Not necessarily. That depends on where you write your code. Again, that's up to your code, right? Where you initialize your push, where you want your push to start, that's where it starts. Because I wanted my username to be authenticated in the sync, I've initialized the sync after the login. Actually, it is the mobile getting the value from the. It's a web socket. Okay, it's a socket between the server and the client, so it's actually data push. You need a user, you can do as a guest user, okay. Sync gateway can allow your device to sync as a guest, so without any user authentication. You can actually hard code your data inside your application and then try syncing. All sync gateway needs is a user, guest or an authenticated user. It doesn't matter when you do it. Okay, you have global data to come in, so every device should get the same data irrespective of the login. Yes, you can do it. Operating system stops you from storing so much of data. So otherwise the Couchbase Lite, it's not ideal to store so much of data here because you don't have indexes as of now. Only the MapReduce indexes are available in Couchbase Lite, not like a global secondary indexes. So it's not advisable to put so much of data in mobile, but you can put in.
What is the maximum amount of data we can?
That I think, Karthik.
There is a limit only to the document, say 20 MB.
20 MB of data for single document. You can put in documents down the device.
But other than that, it basically syncs only the data which is relevant to the particular user. It does not sync all the data which is there in your Couchbase server. So only the information that is needed by the user. So that will not go across a limit.
See, it's just like a use case. Now, if you have 200 people and 200 people's profile data syncing to the device, I can sync it down to the device. You have 20,000. It's not advisable to push in 20,000 people profile data, including all the information down to the mobile. So that's a decision the architect has to make. What data has to go down. You can filter the data using channels. Tell that X, Y, Z channels only will come to device.
So usually people will tell like we are not supposed to perform so much of operations on mobile, right?
Yeah.
So we are storing so much of, say for example, 20 MB of data. So we are saving around 20 MB of data in my mobile, and my device went offline. So at this time I am doing some query or something. So don't you think whether I am giving more load to the mobile to do some operations?
No, you're talking about fetch or operations. Fetch, yes.
Yeah.
You have a big document, you're fetching the data, yes. That's again up to the data modeling. It's not for the Couchbase Lite to decide.
Okay.
If your data model, you have modeled your data to have a 20 MB of data in a document, then your application is going to fetch 20 MB of data from database.
Okay. Do you have any special mechanisms to improve the performance in this case?
Write a MapReduce function with index, yes.
Okay.
If you have a single document which is too heavy, you don't fetch all the values onto the memory. So there are, just like in SQL, I have a whole blob inside, and if you're telling it has to come in 1 second, it might not. It will take its time. Its own time to convert it.
So every document belongs to some user. Can we have some common documents that should be single to all users? Can we combine the guest and the authenticated user?
Document does not belong to any user.
Okay.
What I'm telling is when you sync information from your device to your server,
Yes.
that request, if you authenticate as a user, then that user sends that document. That does not mean that the document belongs to only that user. If there is another user in that mobile, that user also can use this document. It's only about the connection made to the sync gateway and the document sent. So when I log in this app, I log in as Anish at RedBlackTree.com. Yes. If I sign out and log in as Kadambari at RedBlackTree.com, the document which is accepted will be her document and not mine.
Yes.
Understood? Okay. So it's all about who is authenticating into the.
Okay, can you have some common documents between both of you?
Oh yes. If your sync gateway allows a guest user,
Okay.
yes.
So that's
And
what
it's all about channels. If I comment that require user line
Yes.
and put in a require role and assign me and her into the same role, yes, that document goes in.
And for all the documents, you can obviously have a public channel. So you have something called star. So
Okay.
when you specify that, all documents will go across to all the users. A common channel for everyone.
Okay. In our live example, we looked at only require user method. There's a method called require role or require access. If both users are configured in the sync gateway to have access to channel A, and if all documents belong to channel A, then it goes in. Okay, the example was for require user, that's why only my document went in. That's not the case always. Use require role and both users belong to the same role, it goes in. Fine? Yeah. There's a user device mapping, there's a user channel mapping. Yes. I can actually show you an example. Okay, what you see here, oh God, wait 1 second. Is there a way I can zoom it? No. Yeah, you know what? No, I can show it 1 second.
Basically, the users can subscribe to different channels, right? So only the users who have access or a member of that particular channel, he will be able to receive those documents or the data.
Able to see the code now? Yeah. So this is a command for sync gateway to create a user. Okay. There's a curl put, and I'm creating a user, and this is my data which goes in. You see here, this is the data which goes in. Okay. And it tells this user has admin channels as Anish at RedBlackTree.com. All right. Now, there's all the documents what we have, the documents you saw in the Couchbase server, the Kadambari at RedBlackTree.com, that document, my document, Shambhu's document, all these were mapped to a document type called member. All right. The meetup detail what you saw was tagged to a channel called meetup. Okay. Now, what we did in sync function is, here I have checked for a document type of meetup. Okay. If it belongs to that document, and if old document is available, old document will be available when you send it a new version of the document. Okay. So the sync function has 4 parameters. First is the doc, second is old doc, that's the old version. Okay. Now what I have done here is, if document which comes in is this, and it is not an update which is coming in, that's like it's just a sync down, then assign this document to a channel which matches to the meetup. So this document which came in is assigned to a channel called Meetup. Okay, so a channel called Meetup is created and it is assigned to it. Okay. Now, when I create a user here, all I have to do is I'll put in am I able to edit it? So this gives me access to the channel Meetup. When I create a user, admin channels Meetup, if this statement is there, that document will, and if the document is associated to Meetup, that means this user has access to this channel.
It's more like a role.
Yes, it's basically a tag which is associated to a user and a document, and if they match, you sync.
And the typical real world case, the likely case where device is shared among more than one of them.
Yes.
So how does the data get handled as in, let's say you log in as RedBlackTree.com for the example like this one. And half an hour, 1 hour later, the same device is going to be used by Carl.
Yes.
So in that instance, what happens to data?
Yes.
The data gets cleaned up and then the device can be assigned to Carl.
That depends on your application logic. First thing is, application code is different. You have to filter your authorization in the application code for you to see the data in the application. Okay. In the current example, we had one page with the Meetup details and one page with member details. All right. The Meetup details, those were assigned to a channel called Meetup. That was not specific to each person. Okay. The member details were associated to a channel which is equal to the member's email ID. What you see here is my email ID. In her user, instead of this, it will be Kadambari. All right. So my same application, when I log in, it allows me to edit and sync Meetup details. Now in Sync Gateway I have stopped sync, but if it is not stopped, if my Sync Gateway allows me to sync, I will be able to edit the Meetup details and my document. All right. When she logs in, Sync Gateway allows me to sync the Meetup details as well, but it will allow me to sync my document and not hers. So my current Sync Gateway handles Meetup details in one way and the user details another way. So Meetup details nobody will be able to sync, otherwise everybody will be able to sync. User details, only that specific person will be able to sync. Application level authorization is not part of Sync Gateway. That you can write authorization in your application. You can check if the document matches the logged in user and do it. Same programming which is done in the server can be done in the mobile also.
When a logout happens, the data gets cleared from your memory.
No, only when the application is uninstalled.
When it's uninstalled.
If another user gets logged in, so both users' documents are in Couchbase Lite, the logged in users' documents only.
That depends on your sync, right? If your device code is allowing you to sync all data for both users, then it will be there. Whether both users will see it depends on your application code.
Is it necessary to keep two buckets for one for server and another one for Sync Gateway? Buckets. So we need to
It's not necessary, it's ideal.
We need to have one bucket for server side and another one for sharding, means replicating to
Yes.
synchronization.
Yeah,
so is it necessary or Couchbase is doing some?
I'll show you why.
That is actually
Yes.
not mandatory,
Ah.
but only in case where your Couchbase server is being accessed by both your mobile device as well as other web applications. This is because your mobile devices, when it syncs to your cloud server, the Sync Gateway adds some metadata to your
Yes,
documents.
yeah, we have.
So that is the main reason why we are having a shadow bucket, which will have all those documents along with the metadata. But when it syncs to your cloud server, it will not sync your metadata along with the document. So that's the main reason. So only when you are having a mobile device as well as other web applications which are accessing your cloud server, you will have your shadow bucket.
We'll give you a live example. We'll give you an example. Just think this user document. Okay. Just think our RedBlackTree Active Directory has a service which is updating this Couchbase Meetup document bucket. Okay. Now my Sync Gateway has put some revision properties into this document. But tonight when my Active Directory syncing service runs, it's going to update my data and remove all this revision data. Correct. What will happen when Sync Gateway runs tomorrow morning? it doesn't know what the revision is. To avoid that confusion, when there are multiple processes hitting the same data, updating the same data, you avoid using the same bucket for sync. It's ideal to use a shadow bucket. I'll show you the difference. This is the document in the actual bucket, and you see the documents which are here. Now there's a document which has I'll show you that. Yeah. See this? You got extra properties. This might get deleted if a third service hits the same document or updates the same document, which is not ideal for a sync gateway. You're actually confusing the sync gateway. So avoid.
So when you're creating the curl command, by giving username and password, so the password is the same for application login credential, or can we have a different password?
This is a sync gateway password.
So we need to extend it. So let's say some real case. So I have some username and password for my application. So the same username and password will be set. Is the best way to?
Not necessarily. So you can use Facebook authentication for sync gateway. So in our application, I didn't have any authentication, but I had an authentication for sync gateway. Okay. Now the sync gateway password should be used when you initialize the sync, to tell that this is the authentication username and password. Application password can be anything you want. You can log in into the application using Google Plus authentication and initialize sync gateway using Facebook authentication. Doesn't matter.
The Couchbase server and
Right.
Sync gateway. It is between the JSON API, REST API, or it is some other API?
It is REST API.
Is it possible to access the Couchbase server REST API in other technologies like browsers or something?
Couchbase servers API? Yes. What you see here on the screen is a page which hits the API. There are third-party components. This is an administrator console. There are third-party consoles available for Couchbase. This console uses the REST API of Couchbase server.
How we are maintaining the session timer?
Session timer to sync?
For both accessing REST API and, for example, I am having a REST API for login. So I am passing some user and password. So I have to set some session timer or something like that. And just the server.
Couchbase database on the application, yeah. So Couchbase is not a web server; it's a database. So there's no session timeout concept coming on the database side, right?
His concern is like making a curl call, right? So what happens when it times out, right?
Curl, yeah. You have to handle it on the application side, basically. How's that? Device? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Application login, that is completely application side, right? If you are using Facebook authentication and you have already done that, you have the token here, then it is different. Yes. It's only sync part.
That's what it shows good for any semi-static data, which means that you have a data which is not frequently changed, and sometimes you don't want to have the static data, right? So this is sort of a big step. So this is a good example of semi-static, where you still see that data is getting changed. At the same time, you still need to have the data available.
So this is extension to what we asked. So you said like your that database is going to talk to one other database and the actual decision is a separate one. It's because of metadata sends to the server.
Yeah.
So and you are excluding that metadata from the
Actual data bucket.
middle database to the actual. So if that is possible between those two, why it is not possible between mobile and the direct actual? What is stopping there?
Okay. Now Couchbase sync has a concept called shadowing. Okay. How does Couchbase avoid this metadata being printed or updated into the actual database? By shadowing. Okay. Now if it is there, and if sync gateway is the only component updating your data, there's nothing wrong in keeping it like that way.
Yes, I agree. Shadowing is one of the Couchbase thing. But when I look at from the purpose of the middle database, I personally feel like it is not because of the shadowing, it is just because of avoiding this metadata information.
Shadowing is a way of avoiding metadata going into the main bucket is what I mean. Shadowing is one way Couchbase avoids metadata going into the actual data.
If you are able to exclude few part of a data in a whole set between two databases, why don't you do that from mobile directly to the...
Sync Gateway does it. Sync Gateway updates version because it has to handle the versions.
Okay.
Sync Gateway needs those information. It reads from the Couchbase actual bucket, takes the data, puts in the metadata, puts the document into the shadow bucket. And shadow bucket is the one which the Sync Gateway used to sync.
Okay.
Okay. The moment that actual bucket document is replicated or copied, shadowed into the shadow bucket, the actual document is only listened for changes. Sync Gateway does not use that for syncing.
Okay. So let's take the push again. So something happened on the server in the actual, and when it sends to the device, is it via the shadow or is it
always via shadow? Because it has to add the version number.
In that case, whatever the actual data which is going to the shadow, it's going to override. At that point,
no, it's different. It's different entries. That document might have a new version number, but then versions are being put. If you see the Couchbase sync bucket here, see how many entries are there for each bucket, each document. It keeps pushing in versions, sync local versions, all versions into this document. Sync Gateway does not depend on that one single document to determine which version number it is. It has got different
so these full
metadata documents going in. Yeah.
So this full versions is maintained in the shadow database.
All sync related metadata is stored in this shadow bucket and not in the actual bucket. It is to avoid actual bucket being corrupted with this, being overpopulated with the sync related data.
So how long it will get refreshed? Because like you can
until you manually flush it. This will get compacted. But it is this bucket is completely sync gateways. It doesn't want us to interfere with it. You flush it out. The user we create is a document in this bucket.
Okay, so currently we are going what is my understanding. So even if a version of a data comes from the server to your middleware, there also it will create a metadata.
It will add version numbers into the document.
So that is what.
It will add version number to the document. It will create. I'm not sure if it will create another version, another document here, but it might. I'm not sure about it.
Now, one thing to note. So in this example, we have sync gateway and the Couchbase server running on the same host. Right. So ideally, we will be having it in a different cluster altogether. So you won't see the actual bucket in the cluster. Right. So you can see only the bucket specific to the sync gateway. Questions?
It is a general question. Whenever we develop a solution, we will be targeting two specific customers, right? Like that, in which business vertical it exactly suits.
This one? Any application you need a mobile component, this suits.
Any application?
Yes. Any application where you need a local storage in your mobile. Facebook, Couchbase can handle.
Okay, but in that case, we will be having few conflicts. Like, for example, I got offline, not exactly offline as she showed. There are only 2 points in my network.
Okay.
So what happens was, I am accessing it over here, and there is one my close friend is there, and he is accessing it in through computer.
Okay.
So what happens? He changing my password.
Okay.
So I came to my mobile, and I was trying to log in. It is showing 2 points to me, and it is user related data. So my data is already in.
Yes.
So my friend said like, hey, I changed your password, buddy. It's all fine. So now what I am doing was, so sync was stopped because of the network problem. So now I am trying to log in with my new credentials. Okay. So what will happen?
You won't be able to log in unless the data comes down.
So then it is not suitable for the particular business vertical. 100% it is not suitable. Maybe partially it is suitable, but it is not a 100% solution.
Okay, you use SQLite for this, and you write your own sync. Same problem is there. You have a Windows application and a web application. The same problem is there.
So then how can you justify that you can go for Couchbase? I can go with the existing.
We have a sync mechanism in place. We have a light database in place, server in place. You should let it sync. Yeah. You have an AD password. You take the laptop home for 5 days, you can log in with your old password, even if the administrator has reset your password. Correct? So you have the infra in place, so you should let it sync. If it syncs, then your new authentication details are there. So that's not a problem with Couchbase alone, that's a whole world problem. For Sync Gateway? Couch, I'm not sure about
You can actually, leverage the REST API. So there is a REST API available, so you can actually build, tools on top of it. So one thing is like Arbitz has developed a tool where you can actually do a historical graph. Right now, if you go to the buckets, you can see near real-time statistics. But if you go a little beyond that, if you want to pull the data from weekly or year, so all these data will be aggregated. So you can write your custom application on top of it to fetch the data from REST API. There are a lot of new features that are coming in 4.1. So there are a lot of new changes, new information that we are getting in. Okay. So I believe that the user interface right now, whatever we are having, is very easy to understand. Right?
It's an admin console, basically. It's not a customer or the user facing console, it's admin console. So
Yeah. So we also have a read-only password. So for non-admins, so still they can look into the console.
All right. Yeah. Any more questions?
Okay, guys. So
Thank you.
basically, so thanks very much, Anish and Kadambari. Cool presentation. So I'm sure many people who've worked with Sync over the years, who've fought with figuring out how to send data to the server and get it back and do conflict resolution and all of that stuff, and being able to do that reliably without data loss, etc. So I'm sure there's many of us in this room who've actually battled or fought many battles on that front. So the reason we're really excited with Couchbase is that it abstracts away some of that programming which needs to be done to just send your data to the server and bring it back reliably, right? So yes, there is code that you will need to write application. So some conflict resolution, business logic, etc. that needs to go with the sync. Obviously, you need to take care of it, but just the fact that a lot of that, that work which needs to be done to send data to the server reliably and bring it back to your device and share it between devices as well, that's abstracted away into the database layer now, right? So a lot of that is taken away from the hands of the programmer and frees up the programmer to do application logic, right? So it's really cool. One of the reasons we are really excited with it. So it's so I'm sure when you guys, this is a topic that we can go into in depth. That we can really spend a whole day talking about, which we'll probably do in the weeks and months to come. So keep keep delving into this. If you're mobile application developers, we'll stay in touch. There is the Meetup.com, the community there. We'll set up. If you guys are on Facebook, we'll probably get a Facebook group going. Couchbase has their forum, so they've got some great questions there, a lot of great answers, a lot of really smart people answering questions there. So I'd encourage you to go to the Couchbase forums and check that out. So many of you.
Have a Twitter handle, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's okay. There's a Twitter handle, so you can
Yes.
follow the Twitter handle like CHN.
Yeah.
So we can use this hashtag, ask any questions, right? So we can answer that.
Yeah. So, yes, so I mean, we are going to be doing this quite often, that's the idea. So, we'll figure out when, we'll maybe have, we'll figure out it's, next month is probably going to be, with Pongal and all of that next month is probably going to be a little tight, but perhaps in February at some point we'll have the next meetup. So, keep trying out stuff with Couchbase and let's keep the conversation going on Facebook, LinkedIn, on the Couchbase forums, and obviously we're all available on email, on Twitter as well. So please do stay in touch and let's keep this going. Let's keep learning about this. A lot of exciting stuff, and if there's problems out there, right? that you need to solve, you can use the community here to help solve problems and put up questions, get answers, and so on, right? So so we're really excited with all of this technology, and it's one of the reasons we're doing this. So so I'm sure hopefully you guys all found this useful and fun as well. So we're looking forward to keeping this going, right? So we want to keep doing this. A year from now, we still want to be meeting up, and hopefully you all of you guys here, and hopefully many others would have found this useful and learned a lot of things from these meetups, right? So it's in any case good to get out of the office and meet other people who are doing similar things, right? So so hopefully this was useful and a couple of hours well spent. So looking forward to seeing a lot of you in the next meetup as well. Okay. Thank you. So thanks Karthik and Anish and Kadambi.